Now, batteries can't replace diesel, but new technologies with ammonia are emerging, and big money is pouring into the startups at the helm.
For over 100 years, General Motors, popularly known as GM in the U.S., has been at the forefront of the automotive revolution and has not slowed down.
We have also made a number of personnel decisions. Some of these were tough calls. I'm sure you can appreciate this.
With another groundbreaking invention, GM unveils one of its most powerful engines ever. Even industry veterans are still in shock at the performance of this engine. What kind of engine is this that sends shockwaves through the automotive industry? That is what we want to find out in this video, so keep watching. Meet GM. General Motors is a massive car company. Currently, the automaker creates its vehicles under the GMC brand and also owns Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, and Lotus. Despite not getting as much fanfare as other vehicle brands, it was the highest-selling brand overall in North America in 2022. General Motors has always put out decent vehicles, either through its main brand or one of its subsidiaries, so it's not the biggest surprise to see them at the top of the list. Yes, you have to add all its sub-brands together, but the numbers are still there. General Motors has owned a bunch of other vehicle companies in the past as well. Some of the more well-known brands include Daewoo, Geo, Hummer, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Saab, and Saturn. Thus, there are a lot of cars and a lot of engines under General Motors' belt. Some of those vehicles turned out to be excellent, thanks to their solid internals and their ability to adjust to the market at the time. Others, like all automakers, ended up being clunkers. One example is the Chevy Vega, a car with an all-aluminum engine that had so many faults that many of the issues were deemed unrepairable by General Motors. However, General Motors has also made some of the most bulletproof engines ever built. After all, you have to occasionally release something good if you want to last as long as General Motors has. In particular, its Chevy brand has a load of excellent engines, including some of the best diesel engines we've ever seen. One of their popular engines is the Chevy Small Block V8. The Chevy Small Block V8 is one of the most well-known engines in existence, and people still restore and use these engines today in classic cars. There are a metric ton of these, and we pulled a few out in the list above, but several others have stood the test of time. Chevy has been using some variant of the Small Block V8 for half a century at this point, and it has used it in a variety of vehicles. They're found in muscle cars, large SUVs like the Tahoe and Suburban, and even some of the company's trucks. This list is truly long. Suffice it to say, if Chevy wasn't good at building V8 engines, the company probably wouldn't exist today as General Motors' most successful brand. It's almost common sense at this point. You've heard songs about cars with these engines from bands like the Ramones and Prince, while the Chevy that Don McLean drove down to the levee was probably powered by a Chevy Small Block V8. Iconic engines almost have to be reliable. Otherwise, they wouldn't be iconic. But today, I am going to tell you about an engine that surpasses the iconic Chevy Small Block V8. Keep watching. Importance of engines. Have you ever opened the hood of your car and wondered what was going on in there? A car engine can look like a big, confusing jumble of metal, tubes, and wires to the uninitiated. What you see is the engine of the car. Engines make vehicles move, which is why they are often referred to as the heart of the car. Car engines convert energy locked in liquid fuel, such as gasoline, into heat and kinetic energy. They are full of pipes and cylinders because they function like miniature chemical plants. The main components of a car engine include the cylinder block, pistons, crankshaft, camshaft, valves, spark plugs, and fuel injectors. Car engines come in various types, each with its own advantages and disadvantages. The most common types of car engines include internal combustion engines, ICE, which can be gasoline or diesel, electric engines, and hybrid engines. For example, the easiest way to create motion from gasoline is to burn the gasoline inside an engine. Therefore, an internal combustion engine is one in which combustion occurs internally. Regarding car engines, performance and efficiency are two crucial factors. Horsepower and torque are two common metrics used to measure engine performance. Horsepower represents the engine's ability to do work over time, while torque measures the rotational force produced by the engine. Higher horsepower and torque values generally indicate better acceleration and towing capabilities. On the other hand, fuel efficiency measures how effectively an engine converts fuel into usable energy. It is typically expressed in miles per gallon or liters per 100 kilometers. A well-maintained engine ensures that fuel is burned efficiently, saving you money on gas and reducing harmful emissions. Among the factors influencing efficiency, such as car weight and aerodynamics, engine design plays a key role in fuel efficiency. Car enthusiasts are particularly concerned about their vehicle engines, expecting to extract as much performance and efficiency as possible. Hence, Chevrolet, an American division of General Motors, caters to this crowd with a separate line of powerful engines. This brand has been producing high-quality engines for reasonable prices since its beginnings. While competing with Ford and Chrysler throughout history, Chevrolet designed some truly admirable powertrains, which is a trend that has continued to this day. Chevrolet started in 1911 before it was acquired by GM in 1918. Chevrolet's founding principle was to create vehicles that were accessible yet did not compromise on quality. This idea was revolutionary in an era where automobiles were primarily a luxury for the wealthy. Chevrolet has consistently pushed the boundaries of technology. The Powerglide in 1950 was a pioneering move, introducing a fully automatic transmission to the low-priced market. And the 1955 introduction of Chevrolet's first V8 engine marked another technological leap. In fact, the Chevrolet Carryall Suburban, introduced in 1935, was among the world's first SUVs. If you go to Chevrolet these days looking for an engine to put in your car, you'll have more than a few options on the table, including the LT, LS, E-Rod, small block, big block, and circle track. Though they designed and developed powerful engines in the past, none comes close to the monster known as the ZZ632/1000 Big Block Phi-8 or the ZZ632. So, what is this engine like? Let's find out. The ZZ632/1000 Big Block V8. With a displacement of 632 cubic inches, it is the largest crate engine Chevrolet Performance has ever built. This equates to approximately 10.35 liters. Chevy machined the castings of the ZZ632 to accommodate its larger displacement, based on the same iron block as the 572 cubic inch ZZ572 V8 crate engine. The ZZ632 Big Block V8 stroke has also been widened by 0.040 inches, but the majority of the displacement gain comes from a 0.375-inch longer stroke. To allow for the longer stroke, they had to modify the ZZ632's block and connecting rods. The ZZ632 Big Block dwarfs Mopar's Elephant, which measures 426 cubic inches, and even Ford's Godzilla, which measures 7.3 liters. It's also one of the world's most powerful, naturally aspirated engines. The ZZ632 produces 277 more horsepower than Chevy's 572 cubic inch ZZ572 V8. Let's dive into the features that make it quite unique. Technical features. The ZZ632 Big Block V8 is an absolute beast, the undisputed champion of performance among Chevrolet's crate engines. With a jaw-dropping 1,004 horsepower and 876 pound-feet of torque right out of the gate, this engine sets a new standard in raw power. It surpasses the previous king, the 572 cubic inch ZZ 572 V8, by a staggering 277 horsepower. The ZZ632's dominance comes from its sheer displacement, coupled with engineering precision that puts it in a league of its own. A meticulously crafted CNC-machined cast iron block is at the heart of the ZZ632. This block features a 4.600-inch bore and a tall deck height of 10.200 inches. Reinforced with 4-bolt mains and a one-piece rear main seal, the block is designed for durability and performance. Its hydraulic roller camshaft is made of billet steel. The engine's versatility is enhanced by provisions for a mechanical fuel pump and includes a passenger-side dipstick and drilled tapped mechanical clutch linkage. The iconic Chevy orange powder-coated steel 8-quart oil pan adds to its visual appeal. The ZZ632 Big Block V8 crate engine is mainly meant for racing because it will probably break emissions laws in most states. It is appropriately race-prepped, with Chevrolet having tested a single mule with 200 simulated drag strips runs on an engine dynamometer. It survived without any major issues. What sets the ZZ632 apart from traditional big block engines is its innovative design. Typically, big block engines have varied port shapes to accommodate push rods and head bolts. However, all 8 aluminum cylinder heads in the ZZ632 feature identical intake and exhaust ports, ensuring consistent power output across all cylinders. These RSX design-raised spread-port aluminum cylinder heads are paired with titanium valves, 449 cubic centimeter intake runners, and 70 cubic centimeter combustion chambers, delivering an airflow of 481 cubic feet per minute at 781 thousandths of an inch of valve lift. These CNC-machined 70 cubic centimeter high-flow units are physically larger than any big block head that General Motors has ever produced. Designed by Chevrolet performance engineer Ron Sperry, Chevy has dubbed them RSX symmetrical port heads, with the RS in RSX standing for Ron Sperry. Ron Sperry is the General Motors engineer responsible for the original symmetrically ported heads used on the Gen 3 LS1 engine. The legendary Chevrolet small block V8 debuted in the 1997 Chevrolet Corvette. The rotating assembly of the ZZ632 is equally formidable, featuring a forged 4340 steel crankshaft with a 4.750-inch stroke, forged steel H-beam connecting rods, and forged aluminum 2618 alloy pistons. This assembly is internally balanced to ensure smooth operation, even at high performance levels. The camshaft and valve train are no less impressive, with a billet steel hydraulic roller camshaft offering precise timing and forged aluminum 1.8:1 shaft-mounted roller rocker arms, ensuring durability under extreme conditions. One of the most intriguing aspects of the ZZ632 is that it achieves its 1,004 horsepower and 876 pound-feet of torque while running on 93-octane pump gas. With a compression ratio of 12.0 to 1, this engine delivers phenomenal power without sacrificing fuel efficiency. Adding to its cutting-edge design is the inclusion of electronic fuel injection, a first for a GM big block crate engine, as carburetors are standard on ZZ572 big block V8s. This system, featuring 8 port injectors, a 4500-style throttle body, and billet aluminum fuel rails, ensures precise fuel delivery. The ignition system has also been upgraded, borrowing technology from LS engines, with a crank-triggered, coil-near-plug setup, replacing the antiquated distributor found in the ZZ572. Let's now touch on its performance and durability. Performance and durability. The best thing about the ZZ632 is that it is a street engine that produces power on pump gas without any power adders. The Chevrolet ZZ632 V8 crate engine has a maximum recommended rev range of 7,000 revolutions per minute, RPM. But don't let such a high-performance engine's relatively low RPM figures fool you. According to Chevrolet's dyno chart, this monster big block V8 reaches a peak performance of 1,004 horsepower at 6,600 RPM. The power increment is stable and smooth, giving you 600 pound-feet of torque at 3,000 RPM and reaching its peak of 876 pound-feet at 5,600 RPM. It is worth noting that once the ZZ632 reaches 600 pound-feet of torque at 3,000 RPM, the torque never drops below that level until the engine reaches its 7,000 RPM redline. The ZZ632 big block V8 crate engine is primarily intended for racing because it will almost certainly violate emissions laws in most states. Chevrolet tested a single mule with 200 simulated drag strip runs on an engine dynamometer, so it's race-ready. It made it through without incident. To sum up, these briefly reviewed specs show that the Chevrolet ZZ632 crate engine is a powerful, stable, and durable option, largely the best this famous American brand currently has to offer. There is story behind its development, which you would love to know. Let's find out. Story behind its creation. In the late 1980s, Ron Sperry, a General Motors engineer, developed a unique spread-port, straight-flow cylinder head design intended for pro-stock drag racing. This design was groundbreaking, offering exceptional airflow capabilities. However, by the time the heads were ready in 1988, the National Hot Rod Association, NHRA, had changed the class rules, rendering Sperry's design obsolete for its original purpose. Although the heads were briefly offered in General Motors' performance parts catalog, they eventually faded into obscurity by the early 1990s. Despite this, Sperry's design remained a standout in terms of engineering viability. Fast forward to the development of the ZZ632 crate engine, Chevrolet performance engineers, including Alin Dragoiu, revisited Sperry's design. They were searching for a cylinder head that could deliver both high RPM horsepower and low-speed streetability, qualities that Sperry's original design could potentially provide. The engineering team decided to bring Sperry out of retirement to help optimize his cylinder head design for the new, larger 632 cubic inch engine, compared to the original 500 cubic inch Pro Stock engine. Chevrolet honored Sperry's contribution by naming the heads RSX. The RSX heads became the centerpiece of the ZZ632 engine, which also featured a high-rise single-plane intake manifold, a large EFI throttle body, and a crank trigger ignition system with LS-LT-style individual coils. These components enabled the engine to achieve 1,004 horsepower on 93-octane pump gas, while maintaining a balance between streetability and high-performance capabilities. The ZZ632 crate engine is assembled with the same care as Chevrolet's racing engines, emphasizing the unique blend of traditional big block displacement with modern technologies to push the boundaries of crate engine performance. So how does Ron Sperry's creation compare to other brands in the automotive market? Let's find out. Comparison with rivals. There is a whole range of absolutely brilliant crate engines available. While many are fairly sensible, some are absolutely not. This can be due to their sheer power, as some crate engines boast seriously crazy numbers. There are also crate motors on the market that are noteworthy for their huge size. Let's see how some of them compare with the ZZ632. As impressive as 1,000 horsepower is, the ZZ632/1000 isn't the first time a crate engine has featured such potent power. The famous Hierophant debuted back in 2019 with specifications claiming 1,100 horsepower. The difference with the ZZ632/1000 is that it can generate 4-digit horsepower figures without a supercharger. This naturally aspirated crate engine offers some distinct advantages compared to competitors with forced induction systems. Naturally, aspirated engines have a less complex and more maintenance-friendly design, as they do not require extra supercharging components. The absence of a supercharger also means the engine is lighter, with a shipping weight of 740 pounds. while the smaller 6.2-liter Hellcat Hemi 5.8 weighs just over 870 pounds. Additionally, you'll enjoy enhanced engine sounds that are not reduced or altered by the natural whine of forced induction. The ZZ 632/1000 offers incredible performance without a supercharger and is thus one of the most powerful, naturally aspirated engines ever produced. The ZZ 632 crate engine helps keep General Motors on top in the horsepower war between the big three, with 1,004 horsepower and 876 pound-feet of torque. The Hellefant makes 1,000 horsepower, but has more torque, boasting 950 pound-feet. However, the ZSI 632 outright beats Chrysler's smaller Hemi crate motor, which makes 707 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. Only the Don Schumacher racing version of the 426 cubic inch Hemi crate engine surpasses it with 1,150 peak horsepower and 974 pound-feet of torque. In the Ford universe, the 5.2-liter supercharged Predator V8 crate engine produces 760 horsepower and 675 pound-feet of torque. Edelbrock also sells a supercharged crate engine version of the 5-liter Coyote with 785 horsepower and 660 pound-feet of torque. But the main rival from Ford for the ZZ 632 is the Godzilla. While Ford's standard naturally aspirated 7.3-liter Godzilla is good for 430 horsepower and 475 pound-feet of torque, Custom Crate Engine's supercharged version pumps out 1,000 horsepower. Another close rival is the Shafarov Racing 615, which is one of the most insane engines for the drag racing scene. The 615 is possibly one of the wildest creations you can get from them. However, its displacement capacity is 10.1 liters compared to the 10.4 liters of the ZZ 632/1000. It is also capable of 925 plus horsepower. A similarity between them is that this massive engine is definitely only suitable for the drag strip. Having discussed the specs and how well it performs, there is one more thing to know. How much does this innovation cost? Let's find out. Pricing and availability. Well, this monster engine doesn't exactly come cheap. Unfortunately, if you decide to order a ZZ 632/1000 crate engine, you'll discover that it costs more than many cars and may be out of stock. Chevrolet initially listed it with a manufacturer's suggested retail price, MSRP, of $37,758.82, a significant increase from the discontinued 755 LT5 V8, which cost around $18,000. The ZZ 632 is also more expensive than the Hellefant crate engine, which is priced at $37,758 without the installation kit. However, if you shop around, you might find discounted prices, such as those offered by Carl Customs, at $32,935. For context, according to Kelley Blue Book, the average price of a car in March 2023 was $48,800. Granted, custom builds involve various cost factors, but the ZZ 632/1000 engine alone takes up almost 80% of the total cost of the average car. The ZZ 632 Big Block V8 costs about the same as other 1,000 horsepower crate engines, such as Custom Crate Engine's 7.3-liter Godzilla, which costs $34,995, and Don Schumacher Racing's 426 Hemi, which costs $37,950. For most people, this would mean spending more on the engine than on the entire car set for restoration. Is it worth it? Well, of course it is. It's not every day you get to put 1,000 horsepower and 876 pound-feet of torque into your ride. But many will need to blow their savings or even consider more affordable options. If you're on a limited budget, the previously mentioned Chevrolet ZZ 572 crate engine may be an excellent alternative for you. Yes, the power output is lower than that of the Chevrolet ZZ632, but you'll still get some serious specs for a lower price. However, don't expect too much of a price decrease. For that, you'll have to compromise on power output. Another thing to consider is availability. People have had some trouble getting a hold of General Motors' new crate engine monster. Many online platforms have the engine back-ordered or listed as limited availability. The lack of supply is likely due to the hand-built nature of the production process. The iron engine blocks are US-made and then handed to a seasoned specialist with a specific serial designation. While more time-intensive, this method of production ensures higher quality engines leave the factory. Initially, when Chevy announced the ZZ632, they stated that there would be no production limit, as there is with most crate engines. The automaker also mentioned that they would keep stock rather than build the crate engine to order. Let's take a look at the imprints that GM engine has left in the automobile industry. General Motors' engine legacy. General Motors has been planning to switch to exclusively offering electric vehicles by 2035. It even discontinued its 755 horsepower LT5 crate engine, derived from the Corvette C7 ZR1, in 2021 after just a year of service. Many enthusiasts desiring enormous power thought this was the end for General Motors' crate engines. However, GM is keeping the internal combustion engine alive and well in crate engine form via Chevrolet. Prior to the ZZ632, General Motors was dominating with a variety of powerful engines. One of them is the ZZ572, also known as the King of Rats. If you've never heard of the Chevrolet Performance ZZ572/720R Deluxe crate engine, now is the time to learn more about it and consider using it in one of your applications or large restoration projects. Chevrolet dubbed the ZZ572/720R Deluxe crate engine the ultimate beast, and for good reasons. The Performance ZZ572 engine is essentially a race engine, producing 727 horsepower and 680 pound-feet of torque. With this power output, the King of Rats was the most powerful big block crate engine ever offered by GM Performance Parts, as the name implies. General Motors also had the LSX 454R engine, which, while powerful, was designed with durability in mind, as the designers envisaged it would be used in drag racing. However, the beastly power was a fortunate consequence of the development process. This 13.1-to-1 naturally aspirated, single dominator-fed big-inch LS engine produces 770 horsepower at 7,000 revolutions per minute and 612 pound-feet of torque at 5,600 revolutions per minute. General Motors engineers kept the engine speed at 7,100 revolutions per minute and the camshaft lift below the 0.750-inch threshold. They used an electric dynamometer to simulate quarter-mile racing to validate the engine's dependability. They worked out the specifications for a race car that would run mid-9-second elapsed times with a Powerglide-style 2-speed transmission, starting with an idle and ramping up power to a 2-second wide-open throttle hold with a simulated transmission brake at 4,500 revolutions per minute. The simulation was very close to a real event. Outro. Which of GM's engines are you fascinated with most? Let's hear in the comment section below. Do well to like this video and subscribe to this channel to get notified whenever we drop inspiring contents, as this. Thank you for watching, and check out our other videos on this channel.